Welcome, Ross Fitzgerald, to Australian Patrol. Tell me the story about the East Timorese beheading.
Well, one of the most shameful features of Australian politics is the way that Labor Prime Minister Gough Whitlam supported the Indonesian takeover of East Timor. East Timor had originally been a Portuguese colony, but when the revolution happened in Portugal in 1974, the Portuguese pulled out of East Timor almost immediately, and the independence movement run by Fretelin tried to take over. But the Indonesians invaded East Timor with our blessing. It's an absolutely terrible thing, but it's true. And then they probably killed a third of the population of East Timor. They either killed them deliberately, or they moved vast swags of East Timorese people to mosquito-ridden swamps, and they died of malaria and dysentery and other diseases. It just happened that in 1987 I was in Lisbon in Portugal, and quite a few of the guerrilla leaders had to escape East Timor, and they went to live in Lisbon. And when I was there, I met a Fretelin leader who gave me a number of photographs, but in particular an absolutely graphic photograph of Indonesian soldiers holding up in their hands 6 beheaded Fretelin guerrilla fighters.
Not your head, Daddy.
No, not my head. What happened was that I smuggled these photographs back to Australia, and my article about this, coupled with the photograph of the 6 beheaded Fretelin guerrillas, was published on page 1 of the Melbourne Age. And a couple of weeks later I wrote a longer article for the Bulletin magazine, including that photograph, but also including other photographs of Indonesian brutality against the Fretelin and guerrilla fighters in East Timor. And it's hard to believe, but a member of the Indonesian consulate, who later on was found out to be a senior intelligence officer for the Indonesian army, actually contacted my university, Griffith University, and contacted the Premier of Queensland, J.B. Peterson, to have me sacked from my university. The university didn't take any notice, fortunately, but the government of Bjelke Petersen was in the process of trying to undo me when it happened that Bjelke Petersen had to stand down in, I think, I'm not sure, but sometime in the second half of 1987. And I must say that I am extremely ashamed of the way that the Australian government of Gough Whitlam, and then of all the governments after that, until the last few years, betrayed the East Timorese people down the river. And you've got to remember that actually during the Second World War, the East Timorese saved thousands of Australian soldiers